Good morning, makers. Welcome to Coughing and Crafting with Maker Studio. I have my coffee here helping me, wake up a little more after getting the kids off to school. And I have got a fun project I cannot wait to share with you today. So, thank you to Amy Howard for having us here, these artisans, the past couple months, sharing amazing projects. If you haven't checked those out, go up to the live button on Facebook and check all the different makers out and the cool projects we've been bringing your way for this past series. And we have a few more weeks of it, so pretty exciting, fun stuff. But today, I'm going to be bringing you another project, and my name is Cristie. I am the owner and creator at Joyful Art Studio. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, all those fun social media places. I do lots of fun art and fine art with all ages, and I just love to create, no matter whether it's art or crafting. It just is a passion of mine. It brings so much joy to me. So today we are going to be doing something for fall and to get our minds into the season that's coming up of October and Thanksgiving. And so we have got this fun Be Thankful stencil, and it's got this great wreath here, and it's got a turkey on here and a fun little pie. You could do so many cool things with these, but today I'm going to be working with the wreath, and I have got a great palette here. My hubby makes these for me, and I use them in studio for classes and to make projects out of his scrap wood. And so I'm going to do a wreath with the awesome gel art inks, and then we're going to add some little artsy flair with a paintbrush. So let's get started. I'm going to turn my camera so it's facing right down so you can see everything I'm doing, and that way you won't miss anything. So okay, here we go. So I have got my stencil here. It is the Be Thankful one. And the first thing we need to do is kind of take care of our palette. So I have got some of this awesome gel stain, and I'm going to use the English Walnut. I also have my gel art inks, and the colors I am thinking about using have a little palette and one of these squeegees and a paintbrush. And so I'm just going to set those things to the side because the first thing we need to do is stain this. So this stain is so amazing. It doesn't stink like the traditional stains that you're used to and that you would use on wood projects. And so I like to just use a foam brush, and I just generously brush it on there. I don't worry about going any which way, because once we get it all covered, or you could do sections depending on how large your piece is, you can do it in sections. But I'm gonna go ahead and just layer it on here on the top, making sure it kind of gets in these little nooks and crannies a bit with my brush. This stuff is not the scent that you would imagine with gel art. So it's got, I don't know, it's almost citrusy. It reminds me a little of maybe some eucalyptus scent, but it's actually super pleasant. So I do not feel bad about using it inside because there's nothing to bother you. So we're gonna get this all in here. So if you're just joining us, we are working on a project for Maker Studio, Coffee and Crafting, and Maker Studio is going to be giving away one of these amazing Be Thankful stencils. So go ahead and down below in the comments, you can tag 3 friends, and they will be choosing someone to win this. So tag, give everybody, share this video with all your crafting and maker friends, and you will have your opportunity to go in a drawing for one of those. So got my top done, and normally I would do all my sides and stuff too, but we will save that for later just for the sake of time and TV. So then I just have a rag that I'm going to wipe off all my excess. Look at that, it's already so gorgeous. And I could be wearing gloves, but I'm a messy art person and I don't mind a bit of messy hands. So look at that. And this was just plain old pine 1x3s that we use to make these fun little palettes. So there we go. And I would let this dry for, 15-30 minutes or so. If you wanted to have a nice sheen on it, you could go ahead and wax it and buff it before you did your stenciling. That would be really pretty too. And I also, of course, like to do the sides and the back, but for the sake of television, I have got one already done for you. So I did this one, and you can see I've done all my sides, I did my edges, and so it's a nice finished piece. I like to do them that way. So, and you can see how it just dried to this beautiful walnut color, bringing out all the grain and the little imperfections, which the imperfections are part of my favorite element when doing these palettes. So enough of that, let's get on with our amazing stencil. So I'm gonna pull out the stencil. I'm gonna leave this white cardstock in there. It gives us some structure to store my stencil. And so I'm only gonna be using this part of the stencil, but I am just gonna leave these on here. I'm not gonna cut them apart. I'll be able to work my way around, and I have made sure my palette is nice and dust free. I don't want to get any dust under there that might affect the way that my print comes out. So I'm going to pull this off and put this aside because I want to save that. And I'm going to, let's see, make sure I'm straight. Put on some glasses for this. And my boards are never perfect. So what I would do is, so I can see a line in there on the Be Thankful, and I'm gonna use that one as my main line for straightening, just because if that word is off, that's gonna be very obvious. And I'm, you could measure, but I'm just gonna kind of finger, make sure I'm about the same. I'm about a board at the bottom and a board at the top. So it's pretty good. Then I'm going to, oop, it shifted a little bit. That's okay. That's what's so great about these. These are sticky, but you can reposition them easily without ruining the stencil. So I'm gonna bring this on. I'm gonna start rubbing and burnishing that on because I want to have a really good seal, because I don't want any of my ink to seep underneath of there. I've got a little bit of a change in level here, so I'm gonna just have to work with that. So I'm bringing it, this one's a slightly lower there, and that's just the imperfections of the wood. So just really giving this a good rub in all the spaces that I'm going to use. If you feel like you have trouble staying within the lines or the edges and are afraid you're going to go off the edge, please feel free to use some painter's tape, and you could mark off the area that you don't want to get ink on, and it will not damage your stencil at all. Just regular old painter's tape from the Dollar Tree or from your hardware store. And so right in here, it is a little bit higher, but that's okay because I'm gonna be having these, there's just the greenery there, and I'm gonna be adding some color afterwards anyway, so that's gonna be totally fine. So I'm also gonna get some black out. That's what I was doing. So I'm definitely gonna do my Be Thankful in white. So let's go ahead and do that. And I have my squeegee here, and this is one of those great squeegees in the set, and it has a curved side and a firm flat side, and this is a nice stiff silicone squeegee. And so I just like to put just a little bit, less is more. When you start out, you can always get more ink out, but you can't get it in. And so I'm going to press as I come down on here. And so I'm just getting it all into these words. And I'm gonna go ahead and do it in white. I like the contrast, and I'll add some other colors when I pull up the stencil. So I'm gonna come around here. You can see I was able to go ahead and get that in there, even though my wood is a little bit shifty. I'm just pressing and pulling where I want the ink to go through. Nice and firm. There we go. All the way around, just kind of rotating it so I don't get on this little turkey here. But look at all the detail that it is allowing us to print. And I always say print because this really is a printmaking tool. You know, back in school, I used to always make my screen printing, which was essentially these, and we would have to draw and then, you know, expose the film and put it on a frame. And so this is such an amazing tool, these mesh screens, that you don't have to go through all that. You don't have to draw. You don't have to feel really gifted in those areas, but still make amazing pieces for your house. Even though I know how to do them, I use these by far more often because it's just so fun and convenient. Okay, so I'm going to close my white up and make sure I've gotten in all my little spaces. I'm gonna drop my squeegee in my water bath there. It'll easily wash. I'm gonna pull, this is the best part, y'all. Look at that. I'm going to drop this into my water bath so that I can go give it a good wash in the sink in a little bit. And so now I want to add some fun color. And I did get a little bit of a bleed here, but that's okay. I'm gonna be able to fix that up with a paintbrush once this dries. So I'm not really worried about it. I'll take some gel stain and water it down and go around in there. And the reason that happened to me is because of this shift in the wood. But that's a good thing for you to be able to see. So I'm not really worried about it. I am just gonna let it happen. I have got my paintbrush here. I'm gonna start off with some green, and I am going to put it there. And this is the gel art. The green is grass is always greener. And this is an awesome paintbrush. It's one of my go-to tools for Maker Studio, along with the squeegees and these foam brushes. Use them for so many things. And I'm just gonna come in here and touch in some color. And I'm okay if I go over that white or out of the edges. Where it's white, it will kind of show through a little bit, making another green, which is pretty with the variations that are happening. I'm just gonna kind of work my way around. And there's a little bit of a bow here, and I'm gonna save a color for that. So I've got some other fun, and I got a little bit too much there, but that's okay. I'll just kind of pick that up with my brush. Bring it to another one. And this gel ink is permanent, so you will not need to seal this. Another option would be to, if you wanted to use the chalk ink, or the chalk art, I mean, you could definitely use that. And what's cool about the chalk art is if you were to, you could stain this and then seal it with wax or a matte sealer. And then you could come in and use your chalk art and do the same exact thing. They have beautiful colors in the chalk art. And then when the season was over, you could wash it off and use your palette again. So that's what's so great about these stencils. You could use the stencils many times. You can do lots of fun different projects. Even gonna do some in here a little bit. Yep, just like that. All right, then I'm going to give my brush in my water bath, dry it off. As you can see, I use my apron for that all the time. I'm gonna put out some of this kind of orangey red, Lord have mercy, and a little bit of this bless his heart, which is the red. And I'm going to first pick up some of that red, and I'm just gonna kind of touch in on this bow down here. And as you can see, it's just a hint of color. And the wood is still a little bit absorbent. The stain doesn't totally seal it, so it's soaking in some of this ink that we used for printing and for painting. And I might even come in here and give it a little bit of this orange too, just for variety. And I'm even going to touch around in areas as if there were little berries or something. You can kind of see some round details, and this could even take you in through the Christmas season. Wash that again, dry it off. I'm gonna bring in a little bit of black just for some contrast. And this brush has a nice pointy tip, so I'm gonna just kind of come in here and give some touches of the black. Like that. So, make sure you are tagging 3 friends down below. Also, drop me some questions. If you have questions about my process or about the stencils themselves or the technique, absolutely ask questions. You know, I've been doing this before, so there might be things that I'm not thinking of to share with you. And I'm sure if you have that question, somebody else does as well. So make sure and leave those down below, and I will be coming back throughout the day to check on you and make sure that all your questions are answered. So again, I'm gonna rinse this out, and I want to come in with just a little bit of gold, because who doesn't love a little bit of gold on their projects? So That's still a little tacky there on the letters. So I'm gonna let that 100% dry on the letters before I go in with a little brush and touch up the words there. And I might even just do some brush strokes. See that? Just put some gold around. Just touching it randomly all the way around. A little bit of gold brings a little touch of elegance and fun to it. I mean, this could take you even into the Christmas season, this wreath here. Just little touches with this tip of this brush, very lightly, are giving me these little tiny brush strokes. See that? So you don't have to keep it all within the stencil. You could kind of use your imagination and bring it all around. All the way down here. Where are you guys watching from? I am in California, and so and I love it here. It is have its beauty, but in the fall, I definitely miss all the gorgeous colors that I grew up with on the East Coast. I don't miss the cold winters, but I definitely miss the change in season because we are still in the heart of summer here in Northern California. Super hot, but here we go. Okay, I think that's great. So I'm gonna give my brush a wash, and I just use the same water bath, or sometimes I have a little cup there. Give it a tap. I like to dry it off, and then I like to, once I dry it, before it's 100% dry, I reform the bristles, and that way my tip stays really nice. So what do you think? Pretty awesome, huh? So again, make sure you leave some comments. If you have any questions for me, you can tag 3 friends so you can have a chance to win this awesome stencil. And then we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for Coffee and Crafting, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Bye.